Lord Count, a letter from the Queen. In a magnificent palace, a maid's voice sounded. Give it to me. A nice female voice sounded. Immediately afterwards, a delicate little hand took the letter from the maid's hand and handed it to Su Mo, who was sitting on the sofa made of gold. The maid lowered her head, not daring to look at Su Mo at all. There was only that shining golden light in her sight. The Count is so rich. Every time he came in to report the situation, the maid couldn't help being shocked by the wealth of the Count. The Count is well known for his wealth, and he is probably the richest noble in the entire Crescent Kingdom. It is said that even the Queen's wealth may not be comparable to that of the Count. It can be described as a real wealthy country. No wonder. The maid heard that Her Majesty the Queen seemed to be tempted by the Count. You can go down. At this time, the beautiful female voice sounded again. Yes. The maid had just lost her mind, but when she regained her senses, she quickly lowered her head and stepped back. At this time, Su Mo had already accepted the letter. This letter had a magic seal, and ordinary people couldn't open it at all. Even if it were opened, the letter would destroy itself. Only the receiving Su Mo can be opened. Before Su Mo opened it, he already knew the content of the letter. The Queen of the Crescent Moon writes to order some merchandise from Su Mo, such as soap, china, toothbrushes, etc., which can only be produced in Su Mo's territory. But Su Mo can see at a glance that this is not the main purpose of the letter from the Queen of the Crescent Moon. The main purpose of her letter, summed up, is only one. She wants Su Mo to go to the capital. Master, Queen Crescent Moon is probably already in love with you. Master's charm can't even block the divine light of the gods in the heavens. Beside him, a nice female voice sounded. With a move of Su Mo's fingers, the letter disappeared without a trace. Shi Wei, go make arrangements for her, Su Mo said lightly. Yes, master. Shi Wei, who was standing beside her, said. After Shi Wei got down, Su Mo got up from the sofa, walked out of the room, came to the balcony, and looked at his territory. This palace is located at the height of an extremely large castle. Below the castle is the prosperous territory of Su Mo. On the territory, there are cars coming and going, very lively. Not only the caravans of the New Moon Kingdom, but also the caravans of some surrounding kingdoms can be seen from time to time. Even in the sky, occasionally you can see some flying monsters, or the arrival of flying ships. These are all purchased from his territory. 20 years. Su Mo whispers. It has been 20 years since he traveled to this huge otherworld called the World of Gods. As a traveler, Su Mo traveled through these 20 years, and his life was extremely wonderful. Now, he is a kingdom shrouded in divine light, an earl in the New Moon Kingdom. Earls, among the nobles, are not particularly large nobles, and there are also marquis and dukes on them. However, Su Mo, a small earl, is richer than countless marquis and dukes. Some commodities invented by Su Mo have earned him a lot of wealth. But becoming a wealthy earl was not Su Mo's greatest achievement over the past 2 decades. After standing in the castle for a while, he re-entered the palace. Then, with a slight movement of Su Mo's hand, the gate of the palace closed. On the wall, a large number of magical patterns lighted up, completely blocking the entire palace. Now, in this palace, a nuclear bomb is going to explode, and no movement will be heard outside. After blocking the palace, Su Mo's finger swiped in the air, and a hexagram was drawn out by him. In the middle of the hexagram, a black hole is rapidly forming. Then, Su Mo stepped inside. After he stepped in, the black hole quickly disappeared. At this time, Su Mo has come to a whole new place. Below is the ancient and vast land. In the sky, there is no sun, only a blood-colored waning moon. The blood-red moonlight shines down, and it can be seen that countless demons are flying around on the ground. Here is the abyss. With the appearance of Su Mo, another breath came out of him. Immediately afterwards, the demons were shocked. The devil has come. The demons stopped one by one and quickly fell to the ground, their limbs trembling on the ground. Maybe Su Mo's breath is too scary. Many demons were trembling involuntarily there. After Su Mo's eyes swept over these demons, he quietly spread a pair of wings behind him, and with a single flap of the wings, he disappeared here. The demons breathed a sigh of relief, but they didn't dare to get up until long after Su Mo had left. Hurry up! Let's let this old nightmare tree mature together before God returns. Under the bloody moonlight, a large number of women who were particularly charming were surrounding a tall and strange tree. These women are not very accurate to describe them as charming. The accurate description is, demon charm. They, in the human world, have a name. That is the succubus. If a succubus appears in the human world and fully exerts its charm, they can make many men die for them with just one look. At this time, these succubuses are continuously injecting energy into the tree, trying to ripen this nightmare tree before their supreme god returns. With the cooperation of these succubuses, the nightmare ancient tree kept growing, with more and more branches and thicker trunks. After a long time like this, finally, a blood-colored flower bloomed on a branch of this ancient nightmare tree. Success! The succubus cheered. They succeeded in making this nightmare ancient tree mature. Every succubus can't help but feel a little bit happy. Queen, that's great, now we have 100 ancient nightmare trees. When the gods come back, they will definitely be very happy. In the sky, a succubus spoke to another succubus wearing a crown. The succubus' voice fell. In the sky, a breath suddenly spread out. God is back. The succubus who just spoke was overjoyed. The other succubuses felt this aura, and they all showed joyful expressions. They flew into the sky one after another to welcome the return of their gods. In the sky, Sumo slowly descended. At this time, compared with the castle, he has completely changed his temperament. In the castle, he is handsome and has the elegance of a noble. That kind of elegance is enough to fascinate any lady. At this time, he was still too handsome, but compared to in the castle, now, he also has an aura that can be called evil charm. This is the temperament brought by the succubus blood. It's the kind of temperament that makes women feel bad and evil, but they are extremely obsessed with it, and even crazy about it. This is another achievement of Sumo's travel through these 2 decades. On the surface, he was a small count in the Crescent Kingdom. But in fact, in the dark, in the endless abyss, Sumo has already become a powerful demon. The main reason for becoming a demon god is that Sumo accidentally acquired the blood of a succubus while traveling. Moreover, the succubus blood he acquired was a bit special. It is a unique succubus blood that can be upgraded infinitely. Succubus is a type of demon. In the human world, many kingdoms are shrouded in divine light. The gods of the celestial world watch over their realm. There isn't much room for Sumo to play. So, Sumo found an opportunity and went into the abyss. With his succubus bloodline that can be upgraded infinitely, Sumo became the demon king in less than 10 years. It took a few more years to complete the transformation from the demon king. Become a powerful demon in one fell swoop. In the abyss, it also has its own demon dynasty. That is the succubus dynasty. After Sumo became a demon god, the entire succubus tribe also benefited from it. Sumo also changed the way the succubus was conceived. Changed the breeding method of the succubus to that of the nightmare ancient tree. As long as the nightmare ancient tree is provided with enough magic stones, the nightmare ancient tree can quickly breed succubus. In this way, the overall bloodline of the succubuses has been improved. After becoming a demon god, Sumo restrained his breath and entered the human kingdom. The penetration of the human world began. With no effort at all, he became the Earl of the New Moon Kingdom. With his amazing charm, even the Queen of the New Moon, who was illuminated by the divine light of the heavens, was attracted to him. If it goes on like this, it won't take too long for Sumo to complete the infiltration of the entire Crescent Moon Kingdom and secretly bring the Crescent Moon Kingdom into his own control. God, in the succubus dynasty, a large number of succubuses bowed their heads. Sumo's eyes swept across the entire succubus dynasty. He has already seen that the number of nightmare ancient trees in the succubus dynasty has increased to 100. Barbara, well done. Sumo said lightly. God, this is what I should do. Having been affirmed by Sumo, Queen Barbara, who was appointed as the king of the dynasty by Sumo, was quite excited. How's the situation in Flint Abyss? Sumo asks again. There are many layers in the abyss, and there are many wars in the abyss. Here, many wars are for the magic stone. That is the crystallization of abyss energy. Sumo also needs a lot of magic stones, in order to increase the number of succubuses and enhance their power. The Flint Abyss is an abyss with a large number of magic stone mines discovered by the succubus. God, it's almost done. The Firestone Abyss is currently jointly controlled by 3 demon dynasties. With the strength of our dynasties, we should be able to seize an area by launching a dynasty war. Barbara Road. Go down and prepare, in a month, I want to see your army. Sumo said. As God, Barbara respectfully said. Sumo was about to give Barbara some strength boost when a loud voice suddenly sounded in his mind. You have completed the crossing. Protagonist and villain confrontation game begins. Identification is in progress. The sound came very suddenly. When he heard this sound, Sumo's breath moved, and a powerful spiritual sense swept over, trying to find the source of the sound. At this time, Sumo thought of something, and his heart moved. He vaguely remembered what the sound was. Because, 20 years ago, when he was traveling, Suyu also heard a voice. The voice told him that he had been chosen to take part in a confrontation between the protagonist and the villain. Then, Sumo traveled to the world of the gods. However, after the crossing, nothing happened. No protagonist appeared, and no villain appeared. Sumo once thought that voice was an illusion, until now. Starting now, Sumo was a little surprised. It has been 20 years since he traveled, and the confrontation between the protagonist and the villain has just begun. Sumo thought of something. With a quick movement of his wings, he appeared in another place in an instant. In the next second, he passed through a black hole and returned to the castle again. Then, his succubus bloodline was instantly hidden by him. His breath changed from an extremely powerful demon god to an ordinary human earl in an instant. This is also the power of the succubus blood he acquired. Not only unlimited upgrades. After upgrading to a very high place, as long as he is willing to hide the blood of the succubus, even if a god of the heavens is in front of him, he will not be able to recognize it. He is actually a devil in the abyss. Sumo had just finished all this, when a white light enveloped him. Sumo felt that this white light could easily read all his information. However, this white light did not seem to have read the succubus bloodline. White light comes and disappears quickly. Soon, in front of Sumo, a virtual panel appeared. Then, a lot of information appeared. Faction description. The protagonist, the born child of destiny. Every protagonist has a gold finger, they are extremely lucky and extremely difficult to kill. The villain, the stepping stone of the protagonist, mostly has the advantage of power and status at the beginning, but it is easy to be overtaken by the protagonist in the later stage and becomes the stepping stone of the protagonist. Tip 1. The protagonist will get the protagonist value when he kills the villain, and the protagonist value can be used to upgrade the protagonist's gold finger or increase the protagonist's luck. If the villain kills the protagonist, you will get the villain value, consume the villain value, and have a certain probability to capture the protagonist's gold finger. Tip 2. When the protagonist is at a certain distance from the villain, the specific distance depends on the level of the protagonist and the villain. He will know that there is a villain nearby. The villain's early warning distance is 1/2 of the protagonist. The higher the level, the smaller the early warning distance. Tip 3. When the number of protagonists killed by the villain exceeds 10, his identity will be announced. Tip 4. As the villain, when the early advantage is large enough, find the protagonist and kill them, the probability of winning will be greatly increased. Tip 5. After the protagonist or villain is killed, if the soul imprint is still there, his memory will be cleared and he will return to the original world. If the soul imprint is killed, he will die permanently. This information keeps coming. After a few minutes, finally, all prompts disappeared. There are a lot of tips, all of which are tips about confrontation rules. When the prompt disappears, there are some changes on the panel. Open black lens bracket personal information close black lens bracket open black lens bracket villain exchange area close black lens bracket open black lens bracket ranking close black lens bracket. Sumo clicked on personal information. Player. Sumo. Villain nickname. Not repeatable, to be customized. Faction. Villain's occupation. Count of the Black Stone Land of the New Moon Kingdom. Level. Bronze villain value. 0/0 airluck. 100. Warning distance. 50 kilometers. Rank. None. I'm the villain. What about the trouble? When seeing the camp on the personal information, Sumo took a look. His hiding was successful. That white light did not detect Sumo's succubus lineage. Sumo's identity as a demon was also not detected. In terms of personal information, Sumo's identity is the Earl of the Moishi land of the New Moon Kingdom. But the problem is, the faction that Sumo was assigned to is actually the villain. Originally, Sumo thought he was the main character template. The development of Sumo in the past 20 years is a proper protagonist template. Who knows, was assigned to the villain camp. Perhaps, the villain camp was assigned at the beginning. My crossing, it should have been an accident. Sumo thought. After becoming a demon god, his vision was naturally different from when he was an ordinary person. In his opinion, his crossing 20 years ago should have been an accident. It may be 20 years ahead of other players. Therefore, the confrontation game between the protagonist and the villain has only begun now. I'm all a demon. You make me the villain. And, because Sumo hides the succubus bloodline, in the judgment, he is still a bronze-level villain. What about trouble? Sumo felt that if he didn't hide his succubus bloodline and demon identity, the villain level might be very high. However, his crossing was unexpected. 20 years in advance. Sumo was worried that if he didn't hide the succubus bloodline and the identity of the devil, there would be some unpredictable changes. Therefore, he decided to stabilize the wave first, and then observe the situation. The protagonist is treated better. After analyzing the prompts and the information panel, Sumo thought. Every protagonist has gold finger. This is something that villains don't have. Gold finger. Speaking of which, Sumo's succubus bloodline that can be upgraded infinitely by chance can be regarded as his gold finger. Otherwise, in just 20 years, it would be difficult to become a magician, that is, the level of a demon lord, let alone a demon. 20 years of demon gods. In the abyss, apart from those congenital demon gods, they have never appeared at all. In general novels, the villain does have a greater advantage in the early stage. Either the strength is stronger, the status is higher, or there are other dependencies. But the protagonist, with his gold finger, won't take too long to counterattack. Moreover, in this confrontation, the protagonist has an early warning advantage. The villain's early warning distance is half that of the protagonist. Sumo's warning distance is 50 kilometers. Then, the early warning distance of a bronze-level protagonist should be 100 kilometers. Interestingly, the higher the level of the protagonist and the villain, the shorter the warning distance will be. Is this because the higher the level, the easier it is to find someone? In addition, if the villain kills more than 10 protagonists, the identity will be announced, but the protagonist does not seem to have this restriction. After all the rules were clarified, Sumo thought about it and left 2 words in the column of the villain's nickname. Phantom. Then, Sumo clicked OK. There is no repetition. After taking the villain's nickname, Sumo clicked on the villain exchange area. Inside, there is a public channel. F***CK, I've crossed over, ha ha ha. I didn't expect this kind of thing to happen to me, it's great. Did you not read the prompt? What are you happy about? You are not the protagonist, you are the villain, the villain, the villain. 555. I want to be the protagonist. Why did I become the villain? I don't want to be the stepping stone of the protagonist. Can I change the faction? It's a bit promising. What's wrong with the villain? Watch me torture those protagonists. In the public channel, it is extraordinarily lively. After someone passed through, they were still adapting to the surrounding situation. There are also people out there clamoring to be the protagonists. After Sumo swiped, he opened the forum again, and there was some news on it. Sumo watched silently for a while. These people should have just crossed over now. So, my crossover was indeed an accident, ahead of schedule. Sumo thought. Early crossing is a huge advantage for Sumo. Hint. There is a protagonist around you. At this time, a red light lit up on the panel. Warning is coming. Are there any protagonists around? Sumo looked at the panel, and there was only this sentence on the panel. His early warning range is 50 kilometers, that is to say, within 50 kilometers, there is a protagonist. But the specific information, where the protagonist is, I don't know. Nancy. Sumo said lightly. Master, I am here. A female voice sounded. This is another succubus that Sumo put in the castle, Nancy. Nancy is good at hiding and changing, and her strength is equally powerful. Go, find someone. Sumo said. Yes, master. Nancy quietly flew out of the castle. I'm going, so the idea is so unreasonable? There is a villain just after crossing? At the same time, in Sumo's territory, on the other side, in the huge caravan, a man looked at the panel in front of him that only he could see, and murmured. There is also a prompt message on his panel. Hint. There is a villain around you. You can know the level of the villain by consuming 1 hero point. The treatment of the protagonist is indeed better, and this man can also consume the protagonist's value to know the villain's level. On his villain panel, there is 1 protagonist value at the beginning. The villain has a greater advantage in the early stage. I'm just a bronze level protagonist. Before I get stronger, I'd better cowardly and leave here first. This man did not consume the protagonist's value to check the level of the villain, but decided to stay away from the villain first. Jebber, tell the caravan to turn around and we'll go back. The man opened the door of the carriage and said to a servant who looked like a butler. Ah? Young master, aren't we going to buy goods from the Earl of Moshi land this time? Housekeeping. Notify if you let me know, so much nonsense. The man is impatient. Yes, sir. Seeing that the man was angry, the butler obediently went down and made arrangements. Soon, this team of dozens of people and a dozen carriages began to turn around. Follow the road in Sumo's territory and go farther. The direction is right, the distance between me and the villain is widening. The man breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the prompt on the panel. Then, he raised his hand and looked at the ring on his hand. Every protagonist has gold finger. As a bronze-level protagonist, his gold finger is the ring on his hand. According to the instructions on the panel, there is a sleeping soul inside this ring. The strength of this soul is extremely powerful, and it was once a legendary mage on the continent of the gods. Legendary mage, in this man's understanding, each one is equivalent to a small mobile nuclear arsenal, extremely terrifying. Of course, this once legendary mage has only 1 soul left, and his strength is naturally not as tyrannical as it used to be. But as his gold finger, as long as this legendary mage wakes up, with the guidance of the legendary mage, his strength can grow by leaps and bounds. I don't know who this villain is, but unfortunately, my gold finger has not woken up yet, and my family is too small, just a barren family. When I develop a wave, I will meet you again, whether you are who, since he is the villain, is my stepping stone to Lee Busy. The man named Lee Busy thought. This guy got into the role very quickly. Kill a few more villains, and I can upgrade the ring to become a silver-level protagonist, and a second stronger grandpa will appear in the ring. Lee Busy thinking happily. He did not go to the communication area, so as not to affect his mentality. Because some guys are silver-level or even higher-level protagonists as soon as they cross. High-level protagonists have more powerful gold fingers, and the starting point when crossing is also higher. But Li Mang is confident to surpass other protagonists and become the strongest protagonist. The convoy drove away quickly. This bronze-level protagonist named Li Mang did not know that the abnormal situation of this team had been noticed. In a dense forest, after receiving the order, several secret posts quickly reported the abnormality of the convoy. In the Crescent Kingdom, Sumo has secretly built a well-established intelligence network. This intelligence network Sumo did not use succubus, but humans. Succubus is a demon after all, and the Crescent Kingdom shines with divine light, unless Sumo directly launches a large-scale invasion. Otherwise, the succubuses can't act recklessly to avoid exposure. In his own domain, the scruples were much smaller. Not long after, in the sky, a figure that could not be seen with the naked eye quietly came. This figure is Nancy sent by Sumo. Nancy restrained her breath and quickly came to the top of the team. Her eyes lit up, glowing red. Such Nancy looks extremely coquettish. Immediately afterwards, the situation inside the carriage became clear to Nancy. Nancy is not Sumo's strongest succubus. She is good at hiding and changing. As a demon, on the continent of the gods, her strength has also been suppressed to a certain extent. But with Nancy's strength, dealing with Li Mang, who has not even awakened to gold finger, is equivalent to a cross-dimensional blow. Senior, I know you're in the ring. Wake up quickly. Maybe I'll be torn apart by the enemy's hands if it's too late. In the carriage, Lee was busy talking to the ring. He wants to awaken the soul in the ring. Perhaps Lee Busy's words played a role. Brat. An old voice sounded in Lee Busy's mind. Senior. Are you awake? Lee Busy hearing this voice, very happy. The voice cannot help but a little louder. Master. What are your orders? Outside, the butler's voice sounded. This carriage does not have the magic of sound insulation. Just now, his voice was so loud that the housekeeper outside heard the movement. Mind your own business, it's none of your business. Lee Busy said angrily. Senior. After dismissing the housekeeper, Lee was busy shouting the soul in the ring again and again. Little guy, don't worry, although I don't have much power left, I can also unleash a legendary attack. I have sucked so much power from you over the years. If your enemy comes, I will help you solve it. The old voice in Lee Busy's mind sounded again. It should be him. In the castle, Sumo whispered. He left a trace of wool on Nancy's body, and he knew exactly what Nancy saw. Master. The soul in his ring is quite powerful. I am afraid it is a legendary soul. Master, do you want to do it? Master, shield me from the divine light, and I can get it done quickly. Nancy hides in the sky and reports to Sumo. Not urgent. Sumo said lightly. There are still many people near the convoy, and once the shot is made, there will be some movement. There's no need to influence Sumo's infiltration plan for a bronze protagonist. Legendary attack. In the carriage, after hearing the voice of the legendary soul, Lee Busy's mind suddenly became active. First check what level the villains are nearby. Lee was busy opening the panel, which cost 1 main character value. Soon, he found out the level of the nearby protagonist. Bronze level villain. A happy expression appeared on Lee's busy face. Bronze level villains are definitely not too strong. Perhaps, you can use Senior's blow to kill this bronze level villain and complete the first kill. This thought popped into Lee's busy mind. According to general logic, the blow of Grandpa Ring was reserved to save his life. Never use it until critical time, but Lee Mang decided to do the opposite. The villain does have an advantage in the early stage, but the advantage of the bronze level villain is unlikely to be too great. Maybe, you can use this blow to kill a villain. At that time, he will be the first protagonist to kill the villain. The reward will be doubled. Haha, I'm such a genius. The more Li Feng thought about it, the more feasible he felt. Jeber, turn around and go to the territory of the Earl of Moshi Land. Li Busy instructed the housekeeper loudly. The housekeeper was confused by Li Mang's operation, but after being scolded by Li Mang several times, he decisively decided not to ask the reason and immediately followed suit. So, the caravan started heading towards Sumo's territory again. My operation will definitely surprise the villain, haha. Li Mang couldn't help feeling a little smug in his heart, and he couldn't help but imagine that when he stood in front of the villain, the other party's expression was stunned. Master. This person. Seeing that Li Busy ordered the convoy to turn around, Nancy was a little puzzled. Although Nancy felt the fluctuation of the other party's soul when the legendary soul was fluctuating. But the communication between the legendary soul and Li Busy was in her mind, and Nancy didn't know the specific content. Li was busy with some mental activities, and she did not know. In addition, she naturally didn't know that Li Mang was the protagonist. It's okay, stare at him secretly, don't startle the snake. Sumo said. Yes, master. Nancy rode. After she finished speaking, she kept a distance from the carriage. Avoid being detected by the legendary spirits in the carriage. Although this possibility is extremely low, Nancy must eliminate all possibilities so as not to spoil God's plan. Li's busy convoy quickly turned around and drove towards the center of Sumo's territory. Nancy followed quietly. Owner, a seductive voice sounded. Shi Wei is back. She stood quietly behind Sumo and didn't make any more noise, so as not to disturb Sumo. Sumo's hand moved, and a goblet appeared, and in the goblet, light red wine slowly appeared. Sumo sat leaning on a throne made of gold, sipping wine. With his eyes, he could see the situation of the convoy through Nancy at any time. There is a feeling of quietly watching your performance. Seeing Su Mo tasting the wine, Shi Wei came behind Su Mo, and a pair of flawless little hands lifted Su Mo's shoulders and pressed them gently. Li's busy convoy was constantly approaching. The villain is panicking now. As long as I get within 100 meters of the villain, I will know who he is. Li was busy thinking about it. He has successfully persuaded the legendary soul in the ring to take action for him when the time comes. As long as the identity of the villain is determined, you can find an opportunity to kill the opponent. Even if the other party is a big man, the legendary soul silently kills the other party, and he will not be implicated. The territory of the Earl of the Black Stone is really prosperous. Li was busy looking out from the carriage. Here, there is still some distance from the Black Rock city of Su Mo, but the carriages coming and going have started to get stuck. Ha! Those goods. He noticed the merchandise on a wagon with a lot of china and mirrors and the like. There are also porcelain and mirrors in this world. I still want to invent them to make money. This floor, isn't this cement? At this time, Li Mang made a new discovery. He had just crossed over before, and suddenly discovered that there was a villain nearby, and he had not paid attention to the ground. It was only now that he noticed that the ground on which the carriage was traveling was a concrete floor. Porcelain, mirrors, cement. This Count of the Black Stone territory is 100% transmigrator. Isn't he the villain? This thought popped into Li's busy mind. Because there were too many distractions, he hadn't thought about why the Earl of Moishi Land had invented so many things just after crossing the road. An earl. It shouldn't be a big problem. Be careful and it won't be noticed. Li was busy thinking about it. Although the earl's status is not low and his strength is certainly not weak, Li Mang has enough confidence. An earl can't possibly still have legendary combat power, right? As for the impact on the New Moon Kingdom after killing it, he doesn't care. Soon, the team came to Moshi City. There's only less than a kilometer left. It seems that he really is the Earl of Blackstone. He has been silent. Is he so reckless? Li was busy thinking. Seeing that Su Mo didn't move, he had some doubts in his heart. Little guy, hold this, it can make you invisible for a short time. Even the big magician can't find you. You are just an earl, go. Leave everything to this old man. Perhaps sensing Li Busy's doubts, the legendary soul in the ring had another soul fluctuation. Not only that, but the legendary soul also gave him a cloak from the ring. Hint. You have acquired an invisibility cloak, which is useful to the Grand Magister level and below. After seeing the prompt, Li Mang was overjoyed. As expected of the grandfather of the ring, what is missing? He put away his cloak and jumped out of the carriage. Jebber, you guys go shopping and I'll go shopping. Li was busy talking to the housekeeper. After that, Li hurriedly walked towards Su Mo's castle. Soon, he approached Su Mo's castle, then found a deserted corner and donned an invisibility cloak. After wearing it, Li hurriedly walked in towards Su Mo's castle. Sure enough, no one found out. Li Busy is very happy. Master, he's coming to the castle. Nancy Wei reports. Shi Wei, lift the magic ban on the castle and let him in. Su Mo said lightly. Yes, master. Shi Wei summoned a magic disc and began to operate it. This magic disc can control the magic prohibition of the entire castle. Otherwise, it's just an invisibility cloak in Su Mo's eyes, and any magic ban in his castle can be detected. After Shi Wei lifted the magic ban, she activated some low-level magic bans. Do a full play. There are magic restrictions at the entrance of the castle, but the level is not high, you can rest assured. Inside the invisibility cloak, the legendary soul hurriedly said to Li. Li hurriedly walked over with confidence, and sure enough, the magic prohibition at the entrance of the castle was not touched. Shouty, there is a letter from the capital. Give it to me, I'll give it to the count. The conversation between the two maids rang out. Ha, there are still people leading the way. As expected of the protagonist, luck is so good. Seeing a maid walking into the depths of the castle with a letter from the capital, Li hurriedly followed. The legendary soul in his ring watched silently. Soon, Li Mang followed a maid and came to the heights of the castle. This castle is really big enough, and the maids in it are so beautiful. The villain's little days are good, but your good days are over today. Li Mang looked envious all the way. Really, Sumo's castle is too extravagant. Inhuman luxury. Lord Count, a letter from the capital. Finally, the place arrived, and in a hall, the voice of the maid rang out. Li hurriedly followed. Then, he saw that in the hall, Sumo, dressed in a noble robe, was standing there, opening a letter. It's really you. After seeing Sumo, Li busy confirmed. The villain is Sumo. He hasn't found me yet, senior, let's do it. Li hurriedly said. After finishing speaking, Li hurriedly walked into the hall. However, he had just stepped into the hall with his front feet, and in the hall, a large number of magical patterns lit up instantly. The entrance to the hall was also instantly closed by the magic circle. At this time, this hall can be said to be completely isolated from the outside world. What happened? Li was busy seeing the magic lines that lighted up, and he still didn't understand what was going on. Then, he saw that Sumo looked at himself lightly. In his heart was a squeak, giving birth to a feeling that all his secrets had been seen through. In the ring of his finger, the legendary soul flew out directly. Senior. It has been discovered, there is no need to hide it. The legendary soul flew above him, and powerful magic fluctuations began to emerge from his body. Discovered. Li was stunned for a moment. How could he be discovered after hiding it so well? I didn't expect you to find the old man, the magic circle here. How is it possible? This is a holy magic circle. The legendary soul was fearless at first, and was ready to comment on the magic circle. But when he found out that this magic circle was actually a holy level magic circle, he instantly lost his calm. Although the Earl is a noble, a small Earl is far from enough to see in front of a legendary mage. Even if he only has a soul, it is not something that the little Earl can compete with. But it's just that the Earl found him. Who would have thought? There is actually a holy magic circle here. This greatly exceeded his expectations. Senior, what's going on? Li Mang heard the unsteadiness of the legendary soul, and he had no idea in his heart. It doesn't matter, holy magic circle. I can't help it, old man, die. After the legendary soul finished speaking, the magic on his body surged. The next second, an extremely powerful attack rushed towards Sumo. Seeing the attack of the legendary soul coming, Sumo's expression did not change. In front of him, Shi Wei suddenly appeared, patted her hand lightly, and saw that the attack from the legendary soul directly shattered Shi Wei. You are evil. The legendary soul noticed the fluctuations in Shi Wei that belonged to the succubus, and his face changed greatly. However, before he could finish his words, he saw Sumo's eyes glow red. This legendary soul trembled, and even his consciousness was completely controlled by Sumo. The word magic at the back was not spoken. Sumo stretched out his hand, and this legendary soul was like a bubble, and was recruited by Sumo. Senior. Later, seeing that the legendary soul didn't hold on to a round, it was done. Li Feng, who was full of confidence before, was immediately dumbfounded. Thump. In the hall, Li hurriedly knelt down. Big brother, don't kill me. Let me be your little brother. I promise to be obedient. Li was busy begging for mercy. At this time, he has long lost the high spirits he had when he first entered Sumo Castle. Sumo stretched out his hand, and the ring on Li's busy hand fell off his finger and flew to Sumo's hand. Bronze ring, the protagonist gold finger, bronze level, costs 50 villain points. You can get this ring permission. On the panel, the general information of the ring appeared. Other than that, there is no more detailed information. Sumo looked at Li busy. Following Sumo's gaze, Li Mang, who was still begging for mercy, became confused. Soon, Sumo learned what he wanted to know from Li busy. This ring is very interesting. Inside comes a ring, grandpa. If you are not satisfied with this grandfather ring, the protagonist who owns the ring can also spend a certain amount of protagonist value to replace a grandfather ring. These ring grandfathers did not appear out of thin air, but some of the once strong men in the continent of the gods. They also have a special understanding of the continent of the gods. After they appear in the ring, they will think that the protagonist rescued or warned them. It will give the protagonist a lot of opportunities. In addition, this ring can also be upgraded from a bronze level ring to a silver level ring. After leveling up, you can spend the protagonist points to summon a second, stronger ring grandpa. This legendary soul is Lee Busy's grandfather ring. Now, even if Sumo gets this ring, there is no way to summon or level up until he gets permission. If you want to capture the gold finger of the protagonist, you have to spend some villain value. The higher the level of gold finger, the more difficult it is to capture. After fully clarifying these situations, and from Li Mang, I learned more about the differences between the protagonist and the villain in details. With a slight movement of Sumo's hand, a green flame ignited on Lee Busy's body. These flames were so terrifying that Li Mang's whole body turned to ashes. Sumo stares at the place where Lee Busy disappeared. Suddenly, he noticed something. The next second, Sumo appeared at the place where Lee Busy disappeared, grabbing both hands in the void. Caught you. There was clearly nothing in Sumo's hand, but a smile appeared on his face. When the villain kills the protagonist, the villain value can be obtained, but the luck of the protagonist cannot be obtained. What Sumo has just caught is Li Mang's luck, although not fully caught, but also grabbed some. You completed the villain's first kill and got double the villain value. Panel, a prompt appears. At a glance at Sumo, the villain panel has undergone some changes. Player. Sumo villain nickname, Phantom Faction, Villains. Occupation. Count of the Black Stone Land of the New Moon Kingdom. Level. Bronze villain value, 200/200 air luck, 82. Warning distance. 50 km rank. None. Villain value changed from 0 to 200. It seems that, to kill a bronze level villain, the villain value is 100. Because Sumo completed the villain's first kill, it doubled to 200. The luck value also changed from -100 to -82. The change in luck value should be something Sumo grabbed from Li Mang. Damn, the first kill was robbed. At the same time, on the continent of the gods, there were some depressing voices from the villains. Whether it is the protagonist or the villain, if you get the first kill, the reward will be doubled. There are also some villains with protagonists near them. These villains have launched their own forces to find and deal with the protagonists. One of the villains is almost chasing the protagonist. Seems like you can get a kill. As a result, a prompt appeared in the communication area, and the villain's first kill was killed by a villain named Phantom. This makes those villains depressed. Is the protagonist killed? F***ck, I've got to hide a little bit more and develop for a while. This villain called Phantom is probably a bit powerful, and I hope it's not near me. The first protagonist was killed, also in the protagonist communication area, causing some discussion. Many protagonists have a sense of crisis. Master. What to do with the legendary soul? In the hall, Shi Wei looked at the legendary soul that was being made, and said. Sumo played with the bronze ring and slowly came up with an idea. He looked at the legendary soul and said indifferently, "Tell me, all the opportunities you know." The legendary soul spoke dumbly. As the grandfather of the ring, although this soul is legendary, it is far from comparable to Sumo. However, the protagonist's gold finger, if used well, can also be used to enhance strength. It depends on how Sumo is used. As the owner of the succubus blood, Sumo has a very powerful blood skills. Succubus Eye. This skill is a spiritual skill, and if the spiritual power is not strong enough, it cannot be stopped at all. This legendary soul was directly controlled by Sumo. Soon, he told what he knew, all the opportunities that he planned to give the protagonist. It's quite a lot. After all, it's Grandpa Ring. After the legendary soul finished speaking, Sumo's mind moved and killed the legendary soul. Shi Wei, send someone to look for it, Sumo said. Yes, master. Shi Wei went to make arrangements. These opportunities mentioned by the legendary soul are very good. There are actually two kinds of power that Sumo has now. One is the power of the demon god brought by the blood of the succubus. The other is the power that hides the blood of the succubus, which belongs to the human side. The second power is not very strong, not even the magic guide level. It would be nice if it could be improved. Maybe. One day, Sumo will be a dignified devil, and he will be able to enter the heaven for a walk as a god of the heaven. This ring can be used. The way to use it is also very simple, that is to summon Grandpa Ring. Then through the eyes of the succubus, you can directly ask them about the opportunities they have prepared for the protagonist. Item. Bronze ring, which has been authorized, costs 50 villain points, and can be summoned by the Nazgul. After Sumo obtained the permission of the ring, the information of the ring can be seen on the villain panel. 50 villain value, it is not much. Sumo tried it again and found that it takes 500 villain points to upgrade this bronze ring to a silver ring. According to the 100 villain value of killing a bronze-level protagonist, killing 5 bronze-level villains is enough. Sumo pondered for a while, spent 50 villain points, and tried. Soon, inside the ring, a new old man with a ring appeared. This ring, grandpa, is still the state of the soul. Did you come out by yourself, or did I drag you out? Sumo said lightly. Gia, little guy. Inside the ring, there are soul fluctuations. But the soul fluctuation just appeared, and it went out directly. Next second. Inside the ring, a transparent soul appeared. In Sumo's eyes, there was a faint red light, still legendary. After a few minutes, Sumo got what he wanted. This time, it was still the legendary grandfather of the ring who was summoned. However, perhaps he was included in the faction as the villain. The old man with the ring that appeared this time was a necromancer in his previous identity. This legendary necromancer secretly uses living people for research. Turned a whole city into undead. This caused the siege of other legendary mages, and died. Then, he was summoned by Sumo using a bronze ring. This necromancer knows a lot of opportunities. In addition, as the grandfather of the ring, he still has a lot of power left. After Sumo killed him, he also stripped him of his remaining power. We'll talk about it after the upgrade. After killing the necromancer, Sumo threw the bronze ring into a space used to put things. The current bronze ring is helpful to him, but it is not very helpful. When the number of villains increases, it will rise to the silver level, and then see what level of grandfather ring will be summoned. After dealing with these matters, Sumo said, Nancy, use the dark web to find out all the suspicious people in the New Moon Kingdom. He explained some of the characteristics of the protagonist to Nancy in detail. Each protagonist is a traverser and has his own gold finger. No matter how careful they are, if they want to become stronger, they will definitely be different from ordinary people in many aspects. Sumo has already laid out a very detailed intelligence network in the New Moon Kingdom. It is not difficult for him to find the protagonist in the New Moon Kingdom. Yes, master. Nancy took Sumo's words in her heart, and left Sumo's castle quietly. Soon, Nancy came to a secret building. Here is the core of the Sumo intelligence network. Nancy is also in charge of Sumo's entire intelligence network. Arya, send a letter to all the intelligence points in the kingdom and let them go all out. After Nancy arrived, she gave an order directly. Yes, boss. The men moved quickly. Soon, a special letter was sent out. These letters, delivered through a special magic device, that is, magic letters, do not require messengers at all. If you send it on one side, you will receive it soon on the other side. If ordinary people want to send such a magic letter, they have to pay the price of 10 silver coins. You know, in this world, 1 silver coin is equivalent to $100. $1,000 to send a letter. Ordinary people can't use it at all. But here at Sumo, it can be used at will. A large number of magic letters were sent. Hundreds of kilometers from Sumo territory. In a city, in a secret room, a magic device lights up. There is a letter from the headquarters. The person in charge of receiving the letter carefully took out the letter from the magic device and presented it to the person in charge of this intelligence network. Such scenes are happening everywhere in the New Moon Kingdom. The protagonists in the New Moon Kingdom do not know yet that an invisible big net has been spread over them. This big net can be called a heavenly net. Boss, how much are these magic potions worth? Let me see. Wow, the quality of this magic potion is very high. What do you think about 1 gold coin? It is good. In a large city, a dialogue sounded. A man wearing a magic apprentice robe went to a shop selling magic items and sold a lot of magic potions. Where did Billy get so many magic potions? He's just a magic apprentice. It may have been picked up. Last year, an apprentice picked up a package of potions and sold it for a lot of money. Damn, this guy actually had shit luck. He has no background. Let's go, we'll grab him. When the man was making a big purchase, he didn't notice that there were two guys who were also wearing magic apprentice robes, following him sneakily. The two guys followed the man all the way while he was shopping. The two guys didn't pay attention, and when they were talking, a passerby just heard it in the back. The pedestrian's expression changed, and then he left naturally. The two guys followed the man all the way. Finally, they found a small alley and quickly surrounded it. "Billy, it looks like you've made a fortune. Why, once you make a fortune, do you forget about our old friends?" A guy grinned. "Billy, hand over all the gold coins you sold just now, otherwise, we're welcome." The other guy was more direct, and he opened his mouth directly to the lion, trying to steal Billy's gold coins. The man named Billy frowned, and then he suddenly shot. A fireball was sent out by him. "They are all apprentices, who is afraid of who? Ah." A guy just didn't care, and was directly killed by the fireball. The other guy's face turned pale when he saw it. He couldn't understand how Billy, who was soft yesterday, became so powerful all of a sudden. The guy ran away, but a fireball caught up and killed the guy as well. Two bugs. Even the protagonist's idea dares to fight, hum. Billy snorted softly, went down with a fire, burned the two bodies to ashes, and left there. He didn't know that not far away, a person standing in the dark had heard his words. "Master, there is news from Coma City that a suspected protagonist has been found there, and they are further tracking." In the castle, Sumo soon received the news. At the same time, after the man named Billy left the alley, he walked towards a direction in the city. He didn't notice in the slightest that there were eyeliners all over him on the way. These eyeliners are very careful and don't follow all the time. Instead, it was constantly changing, and in front of him, he was in control of his movements. Billy was in a good mood. Although he had just killed two people, he did not show any discomfort. As a traveler, he is still the chosen protagonist in his opinion. People in this world are just NPCs. All will only be his stepping stones. Sooner or later, he will become the strongest protagonist, and all the other protagonists are just his foils. Billy quickly came to a group of buildings in the center of the city. Here is a magic academy. The continent of the gods has developed magic, and there are also many magic schools. Magicians have a high status and are also the best way for many civilian children to change their lives against the sky. It's too hard to be a noble. As long as you have good magic talent and become a noble magician, you can even surpass many ordinary nobles in terms of status. In this magic academy, Billy was just the lowest level magic apprentice. But with the arrival of the traveler, he became the protagonist and obtained the gold finger. In less than a day, he relied on his gold finger to go from a magic apprentice to an official magician in one fell swoop. Spend the gold coin sold today. The magic level should be able to rise a few more levels. Maybe you can enter the level. Billy thought happily. At this time, he noticed something and quickly entered the magic academy. There is a villain. He was actually touched by him. Fortunately, I am in the magic academy. He should not dare to do it. This guy is probably going to stay outside, and he will not leave the academy. Billy looked at the protagonist panel, a little frightened. Damn it. This guy is actually a student of the Magic Academy. This is not easy. On the other side, a man in a noble robe looked at Billy who had entered the Magic Academy, feeling a little depressed. He finally met a protagonist who actually hid in the Magic Academy. Entering a Magic Academy to kill, it's not easy. In particular, this Magic Academy is also the third-ranked Holy Moon Academy in the New Moon Kingdom. I don't believe that you will never come out. Let someone contact the Lancet organization to see if they can find a powerful assassin. The villain figured it out. Billy went all the way back to the Magic Academy and back to his residence. Most of the villains have their eyes on me. Then don't hide. Anyway, I am hiding in the Magic Academy. Even if he comes in, he doesn't dare to kill me. First spend the gold coins you earned today, improve your magical talent, and then go to the test to attract the attention of the academy and let the academy treat me as a genius. Billy resets his plans. His gold finger is not the same as Lee Busy before. Lee Busy as gold finger is the grandfather of the ring. Billy's gold finger is a Krypton gold system. As long as you have gold coins, you can become stronger. That's why Billy has grown so fast. Of course, Billy's Krypton gold system is not high level and has many restrictions. He still needs the protagonist value to upgrade the system, so that the restrictions can be lifted and greater permissions can be obtained. When he found out that he had been targeted by the villain, Billy also changed his development plan. Prepare to take the initiative to expose your evildoer, so that the Magic Academy can cultivate him as a genius. As long as he gets enough attention, the villain won't even try to kill him. I can't see it but I can't kill it, I'm mad at you. Billy's mood changed again. No matter, be careful, they are looking for assassins. This guy is still very careful. Master, it has been confirmed that the protagonist is a magic apprentice from the Holy Moon Magic Academy. It seems that another force is eyeing him. Our people guess that he will probably not leave the Holy Moon Magic Academy for a long time. In the castle, Nancy's voice sounded. Master, the Holy Moon Magic Academy has a legendary mage sitting in town, and there are also temple knights from the Holy See stationed not far away, so it's not easy for us to take action. Nancy said again, Holy Moon Magic Academy. Sumo read these words again. Then, he took out a magic letter. Soon, Sumo wrote the letter. The magic letter burned and turned to ashes. In the Holy Moon Magic Academy. In a magic tower, an extremely beautiful woman who looked 24 or 5 years old was meditating there. At this moment, a magic device next to her lights up. Inside, a magic letter appeared. The beautiful woman opened her eyes. Originally, she didn't care, but when she saw a symbol on the magic letter, a bright smile burst into the face of the beautiful woman. He wrote me a letter. The beautiful woman was as happy as a little girl. She couldn't wait to open the letter and read the contents. The magic apprentice named Billy. After reading, the beautiful woman walked out the door. Dolly, go check if there is a magic apprentice named Billy in the academy. Beautiful woman. Yes, my lord. Soon, the beautiful woman knew the result. My lord, there is indeed a magic apprentice named Billy. He has just completed the magic level and magic talent test. According to the test results, Billy is already a first-order mage and has a very high magic talent. Everyone was shocked. Call Dolly's men to report. First-order mage. How long has Billy joined the Magic Academy? The beautiful woman asks. My lord, it took him 3 months to become a magic apprentice 5 months ago. Dolly wrote. Okay, I get it. You go and tell Billy that I want to accept him as a disciple and let him come over. Beautiful woman. Yes, my lord. Dolly left. First order mage. It should be the person he is looking for. He solved this Billy, and just went to see him. For so long, he didn't come to see others. After Dolly left, the beautiful woman muttered to herself, with a trace of resentment in her eyes. What? Vice President Melina wants to accept me as a disciple. In another place, Billy, who was surrounded by stars like the moon, was overjoyed when he got the news. He never thought that after he showed his strength and talent, Vice President Melina would actually accept him as a disciple. Although it has only been over a day, he is very familiar with Melina's name. That is the Deputy Dean of the Holy Moon Magic Academy, a powerful forbidden magician, only one step away from the legend. The most important thing is, Melina is also a well-known beauty, the dream lover of countless people. I don't know how many people want to kiss Fang Zi. Now, the other party actually wants to accept him as a disciple. Haha, the protagonist is cool. Billy couldn't help feeling overwhelmed. This is the magic tower of Dean Melina, right? In front of the towering and beautiful magic tower, Billy looked at the magic tower and was amazed. Just in the vicinity of the magic tower, he felt that the surrounding magic was extremely rich. It is not difficult to imagine how abundant the magic power will be once you enter the magic tower. Look, that's Billy. He has become a super genius of a first-order magician in 2 months, and Dean Melina will accept him as his apprentice. It's amazing, Dean Melina has never accepted an apprentice. Really, Billy pursued me a month ago, but unfortunately I didn't agree. On the square of the magic tower, there were a lot of onlookers. When these students heard that Dean Melina was going to accept apprentices, they all came to watch. Surrounded by many students, from time to time, there were bursts of exclamations from the crowd. At this time, Billy felt like he was in heaven. The taste of being the protagonist turned out to be so cool. No matter where you are, it is the brightest existence. It's just a villain, and now he can jump. When he becomes a powerful magician, these villains will not be captured. Billy suppressed his inner excitement and walked towards the magic tower with a feigned composure. At this time, he saw that there were a few people sneaking around the students. Although these people are very careful, Billy can see at a glance that these people should be the eyeliner of the villain. When I hug Melina's thigh, it will be you in a hurry. Billy snorted lightly, didn't care at all, and walked into the magic tower. A forbidden mage who is about to become a legendary mage, even a duke, has to be polite to him. And once Melina becomes a legendary mage, her status in the New Moon Kingdom will be even higher. At that time, if the villain in the New Moon Kingdom wants to move him, he will have to weigh it. Obviously not. Only come dark. But as long as Billy doesn't leave the Holy Moon Magic Academy, it's not that simple for these villains to start at the Holy Moon Magic Academy. Here is the Magic Academy with legendary mages. Not far away, there is a powerful temple Knights of the Holy See. People who are idle don't dare to do anything here. That's why Billy is so confident. As long as there is no problem with personal safety, at that time, with his own Krypton gold system, his rise is only a matter of time. Billy, right? Come in. My lord is waiting for you in the parlor on the second floor. After entering the magic tower, a housekeeper received Billy. Okay, thank you. Billy was a little excited, and after thanking the housekeeper elegantly, he entered the magic tower. This magic tower is tall and has many floors. The first floor is where some sundries and servants live. The second floor is for meeting guests. Layers 3 to 5 are useful. Above, it was basically Melina's private space. Except for a female housekeeper, no one could enter at all. Seeing that he was about to see the well-known Dean Maliana, Billy was quite excited even if he was the protagonist. He went up step by step. Finally, came to the second floor. As soon as he got to the second floor, he saw a very beautiful woman sitting on the sofa in the middle of the beautifully decorated living room on the second floor. As soon as he saw this woman, he was stunned, completely attracted by her. It's simply too beautiful. He had never seen such a beautiful, temperamental woman before. In another world, those so-called internet celebrities, even if they are 100 levels long and glamorous, are not half as beautiful as this woman. Is this the legendary Dean Melina? Beautiful. I'm the protagonist, and women are just objects of conquest for me. Billy was very aware of the protagonist, and he forcibly lowered his head. However, in his heart, Melina has been listed as the object of conquest. He can already imagine that in the future, with his own system, Melina will be shocked by him one after another. Then, the scene of being conquered by him. Thinking of that scene, he couldn't help being a little excited. Am I pretty? At this time, Melina's sound was about to make her ears pregnant. Even the sound is so nice. Billy got excited again and nodded subconsciously. Bold. How dare you have evil thoughts on the vice president? At this time, a voice suddenly sounded. Immediately afterwards, a magician wearing a magic robe suddenly appeared, and when he moved his hands, a glowing rope suddenly appeared around Billy's body. Tied him up. Billy immediately felt that his whole body magic was imprisoned, and he couldn't move at all. The magician's hands moved again, and Billy was hanged upside down. Suddenly hit by this, Billy was stunned and didn't understand what was going on. President, I'm wronged, I didn't. The instinct to survive, Billy argues. I haven't said it yet, listen to what this is. Another magician came out and performed a magic. Then, a voice sounded. This woman is too beautiful, but sooner or later she will be my woman. When I become a legendary mage, I will conquer her sooner or later. This voice, a bit like Billy's voice. Billy's face changed greatly when he heard this voice, because it was his inner voice. His inner voice was actually overheard by the magician, and he simulated it. Billy panicked. He was still about to speak, but the other party had not given him a chance. Directly a silent magic, so that even if he shouts, the voice will not come out. President, what should I do with this person? After the magician cast the silence magic, he asked Melina for instructions. Leave it to me, and tell the public that people have been executed. Melina's faint voice sounded. Yes, the two magicians said respectfully and backed away. Seeing the two magicians retreat, Billy, who was still hanging in the air, made a woohoo sound. This guy is still holding on to a glimmer of hope. However, Melina didn't even look at him, she took out a bag and covered him. put Billy in a small bag. Then, Melina threw the small bag into another bag, and flew out of the magic tower to the direction of Sumo's territory. Inside the bag, Billy was about to cry. Although he has a Krypton gold system, he has already used up all the gold coins on his body and cannot exchange anything in the system. Besides, his gold finger level is not high, and when the difference in strength is too large, the system alone is useless. Seeing that there was no way to escape, his fate was uncertain, and Billy's heart sank to the valley. Now he can be said to have fallen from heaven to hell. In the Holy Moon Magic Academy. Soon, the genius Billy, relying on his high magical talent, was disrespectful to Dean Malena, and had blasphemous thoughts. After angering Dean Malena, the news that he was killed by the law enforcement team of the college has spread all over the world. The entire college. You deserve it. You think you can do whatever you want with your magical talent? Yeah, Billy is too arrogant, he's not pleasing to the eye. After hearing the news, many students did not feel sorry, but rather gloated. In fact, Billy has been a little too flamboyant and arrogant these days. Master, there is news from Kima City that the protagonist was killed by the law enforcement team of the Holy Moon Magic Academy. In the castle, Nancy's voice sounded. After Sumo listened, he gave a faint, Nancy was brought into the human world by Sumo, and she still doesn't know about Melina's relationship with him. This news also made Sumo sure that Melina had already started. With what he knew about Melina, he would be able to see Melina in half a day at most. Really? After half a day, in Sumo's territory, a magic flying ship sailed over from a distance. Sumo was quickly notified. In the sky, the air knights belonging to Sumo escorted the magic flying ship all the way towards Sumo's castle. Soon, the flying ship stopped at an empty place in the upper part of the castle. Sumo is already waiting there. After the door of the airship opened, Melina, dressed in full dress, appeared there. She is beautiful and moving. After seeing Sumo, she has long lost the coldness she had when she was in the Magic Academy. She ran straight over and fell into Sumo's arms under Nancy's surprised eyes.